Finally it happened. No, not that boring crap, but another boring crap. Star Citizen has finally breached $500 million crowdfunding. And yet, after 10 years since announcement of the project, there still is no game. Not even one in sight to see. So, what the fuck is going on? As longtime followers either of my stuff or Star Citizen itself can say, it's alpha, don't judge! No, sorry, wrong meme there. I mean, it's coming! Kind of. You see, when I told my friend who knew basically just the name of the project and not much else, he was shocked. In his words, $500 million? Well, what cosmos is this? Well, starting from the beginnings, in 2012, Chris Roberts announced this project for 2 games. One multiplayer, the titular Star Citizen with open world, and the other one, single-player superstar cast, ultra-fidelity one, with incredible stars taking part as characters, like Mark Hamill. Initially, Star Citizen simply operated as a simple crowdfunding project, and that got very successful $2 million funding on Kickstarter after their own website crashed on launch due to space dads and nerds jizzing themselves to death. After initial period, overall the project ranked in over $10 million, which easily greenlit the whole ambitious project. Though, as you can tell, it was just the tip. The real spending spree started picking up and really has never stopped after realization that spaceships sell. Yes, be they already developed or fully featured ones or just a concept phase, the so-called JPEGs. Even those ships sold, and in time the roster of the ships to purchase exploded and proved highly profitable. In time they even sold Spaceland. To correct myself there. What they sold was insurance for the stuff on the land. Yep, this is the future, ladies and gentlemen. Now, those unfamiliar with Star Citizen may think that, even the worst pay-to-win games don't usually charge more than 10, maybe 20 bucks per microtransaction, right? This was a package a few years back that included most of the ships available today. And yes, even ground vehicles that people purchased wholeheartedly. Now, today I'm not gonna talk about the problem spenders and the issue with that, or people who have more money to spend than an average plebeian. But you can see how, when you have an average spaceship, package, yes, they're called packages, even though there's only one thing in them, and that's the JPEG, when they're costing, $200, having spent on average about 400 or hell 1,000 bucks is not that hard. When the project and people around it normalizes the fact that, oh no, you're not buying a spaceship that normally you would need to play the game for. No, you're supporting the development. And the price tag of $200 is okay, trust us. Well, then TheYamiks has some fucking problems. You see, I've long since been against nearly all of the ways Star Citizen not only markets their packages or their pricing, but also presentation of the project. The glossy trailers that are massively unrepresentative of the project, let alone the current state of the so-called playable alpha. Now, before I go on, I do also have to recommend you take a look at my collaborative work that I did with my fellow creators and what they have to say about Star Citizen, their thoughts on what is the ups and downs, and what's going on with the future as well. I'll link it down below. But today, as I take a look back at Star Citizen, to me, it's astonishing how little actually seems to have been accomplished, given the time and funding, even if you count in development troubles CIG has had in the start. You see, we're still waiting for Star Citizen's alpha program, because I sure as fuck ain't gonna call it a fucking game, I'm not that delusional, but we're still waiting for even the basics to be done correctly. And I mean real basics. Physics, for example. Now, I don't like to compare things, but especially Escape from Tarkov comes to mind as a slight parallel to Star Citizen. Both are hyper-realistic, dedicated projects for their own fields, and both are still counted as unfinished crowdfunding projects. Tarkov, despite my distaste for the scumminess of developers' actions in the past, at least I can call a game. Kind of. The basics are all there: physics, shooting, looting, and surrounding mechanics. You can see the project's whole shape, if you will. Star Citizen, on the other hand, has nothing nailed down upon which things could be built. I picked up the project in 2017, around version 2.6 or so, when the mentioned physics were pretty much the same, or at least seemed to be. And the only difference is that back then you could run the program offline mode and get a few more frames. However, today you pile on top the shit netcode with these barely started mechanics the Citizen has, and frankly, I'm appalled as a customer, let alone as a creator, to see not a single thing properly done in my 5 fucking years of observing this thing. Now, if you told me those 5 years and $250 million back that the only noticeable changes in Star Citizen would be prison, medical, and mining gameplays, with still yet no new system or cohesive environment, then I would have laughed in your face. But here we are today. Honestly, at this stage, I feel like the dreaded Duke Nukem Forever almost has to be invoked due to the development hell that CIG Project has managed. But that's the thing, Duke had financial problems. I personally have not seen a single developer that would have majorly fucked over its supporters like this. Well, maybe since Daikatana. And that just takes a whole new meaning. Now, sure, CIG is feeding information to the public like no other developer. Yet most of this information, if not all of it, is so inconsequential that I feel many mistake it for actually worth exchange. And that's been the case for years. As for Squadron 42, like my peers who I interviewed about the Star Citizen, we all kind of think that it's gonna be 3 to maybe 4 years before it releases, and it will be probably before Star Citizen is ever released, because, well, it kind of makes sense for a single player to come out first. But it also kind of feels like developers are shutting down actual information exchange of what the fuck is even happening in the first place, and substituting it with meaningless fluff. Honestly, it's rather depressing to think how frankly lighthearted and frivolous the company can be about the massive investment and more so trust that the public has given to the developer, instead just stringing them along with the narrative, "Oh, trust me bro, it's coming, we're working on it." 500 million, 10 years, and this is the most of what has been done. A decade of, well, no, not scamming or lying, no, absolutely not, even though I'm not discounting that possibility, but rather simply ever-moving goalposts, and frankly, disregard for responsibility to the public that has put so much trust and love into their hands, just to be ignored and patronized to. Yeah, sure, sell me some more land insurance, CIG, please, could we have another fucking JPEG, please? Put up or fuck off. This has been an embarrassment for Star Citizen, and this year, in my yearly summary, I already said, Star Citizen has accomplished possibly the least amount of work of any years I have observed it. The words accountability and responsibility, and more so, respect, comes to mind when talking about CIG and the Star Citizen, and not in a positive way. And while I'm not gonna say money laundering, scamming, or lying is happening, but it gets harder and harder not to think about that possibility. That or just sheer incompetence of the leadership. As always, I've been your cynical Latvian, and maybe if you want to support something that actually produces something interesting, and not always on the toilet bowl, I mind you, well, you can take a peek at my Patreon. And that's not a euphemism, damn it. So subscribe and share the work, and for now, I'm gonna go off to beat another dead horse. Oh gods! Okay, well, I'll see you then next time. See ya!